BTS News Today, Los Angeles, July 4th, 2025. The summer air in Los Angeles felt different today. There was a kind of warmth that didn't just come from the California sun, but also from an extraordinary energy felt throughout the city. And it wasn't without reason. Two of the brightest stars from BTS, Jimin and Jungkook, have just taken the first step in something long-awaited, a comeback. They arrived quietly. No big announcements, no posters or heavy security. Yet their presence couldn't be fully hidden. Since last night, social media buzzed with blurry photos of Jimin and Jungkook spotted around Cobalt Studio in the Hollywood area. At first, it was only speculation, but this morning, everything became clear. They are here, and they are working. Around 9 a.m. local time, a matte black car pulled into the studio lot with tightly tinted windows. Even though hidden, fans who had been waiting since dawn could feel who was inside. There's a certain energy only those who followed BTS for years could describe, an energy that's calm, sincere, and full of passion. Jimin stepped out first. Wearing a gray hoodie that covered most of his face and loose beige pants, he walked briskly but with ease. His eyes glanced toward the fans quietly waiting behind the barriers. For a second, a small smile appeared. A smile that held so much, longing, excitement, and maybe a hint of nervousness. Not long after, Jungkook followed. Dressed in a black jacket and ripped jeans, his slightly messy hair looked like it came straight from a magazine cover. He carried an acoustic guitar in his hand, his steps light, like someone returning to the place where his heart feels most alive. Once they entered the studio, it felt as if the world held its breath. No one knows for sure what they're recording. Is this for a duo project? The opening track for BTS's comeback? Or perhaps something entirely new, something the world has never seen before? One thing is certain, they didn't come just to play around. According to one studio staff member who asked to remain anonymous, the recording session had been in the works for months. This wasn't a last-minute thing. They've planned this carefully. The music, it's deeply personal, they said quietly, almost afraid to reveal too much. Jimin and Jungkook aren't just singing. They're pouring their emotions into every note. The session was closed to the public. Only a handful of people were allowed inside. But word has it, the atmosphere was extremely emotional. Jimin reportedly paused for almost a minute during the bridge, head bowed in silence before lifting it and continuing with a hoarse, nearly breaking voice. Meanwhile, Jungkook, usually composed while working, clutched his guitar tightly, playing chords with his eyes closed. Several times, they exchanged glances, as if drawing strength from each other. No words were needed. Everything was already being said in the air between them. This isn't the first time they've worked together in a studio, but this time feels different. After a long break, after pursuing their solo projects and time apart, this moment feels like a meeting point, a crossroads between the past and the future. Outside the studio, fans continued to wait. Some had traveled from other countries just to experience this moment. One fan from Argentina said she had been saving for 2 years just to be in Los Angeles when BTS made their comeback. I didn't know exactly when it would happen, but I knew, whenever it did, I wanted to be here, she said, holding a poster of Jimin and Jungkook. And now I am. This is more than just music. It's a part of my life. As the afternoon faded, the studio doors opened again. This time, only Jimin stepped out briefly, wearing sunglasses and holding an iced coffee. He stood at the edge of the stairs, gazing at the golden sky. A few fans softly called his name. He turned, raised a hand, and offered a sincere smile. Not long after, Jungkook followed, holding a laptop. They exchanged a few words, shared a small laugh, and then went back inside. Their bond looked warm, like two old friends rediscovering the perfect rhythm of working together. There was a closeness that couldn't be faked. Even amid busy schedules and the pressure of the music industry, there remained Jimin and Jungkook, two people who quietly protected each other, who found peace in each other's presence. Hours later, the studio lights began to dim one by one. Around 10:30 p.m., they finally stepped out. This time, they didn't hide. Jimin removed his hoodie, letting the night breeze play with his blonde hair. Jungkook gave a small smile toward the cameras blinking from afar. They walked side by side toward the car, patting each other on the shoulder like two artists who knew that what they created today would mean so much to millions. When asked by a photographer whether they were preparing a new album, Jungkook simply smiled and replied, "Just wait. We're trying something honest." That sentence instantly went viral. The hashtags #JungkookInStudio and #comeback begins shot up to the top of the trending topics worldwide. Videos of them exiting the studio were reposted thousands of times within minutes. Fans began speculating, building theories about what kind of song they were working on, and when everything would finally be released. But for Jimin and Jungkook, today wasn't about hype. It wasn't about marketing strategies or numbers. Today was about a small step, a first step towards something bigger. A step taken with open hearts, courage born from sincerity, and the belief that they still have stories to share with the world. That night, they didn't head straight back to the hotel. Sources say they drove to a small studio on the outskirts of the city, a more personal space, far from the media spotlight. There, they reportedly sat together in a dimly lit recording room, sipping warm tea while listening to the day's vocal takes. Jimin was heard saying, "This song feels like a letter, not just to ARMY, but to ourselves. About things we've experienced, the things we've kept inside." And Jungkook added, "We wanted to express our feelings without too much metaphor. Just as they are. We've both felt a lot over the past few years, and finally, we found the time to voice it." Silence filled the space, but it wasn't an empty silence. It was full of meaning, like a pause in music that makes the next note hit deeper. Today is the beginning of something. Not much has been revealed yet, but the world is already listening. In the quiet of the studio, in unreleased lyrics, in glances and smiles caught on camera, hope is starting to bloom again. The BTS comeback may not be here in full just yet, but Jimin and Jungkook have rekindled the flame. And when that moment truly arrives, the world will know that the first step they took today is a step that will be remembered forever. Night deepens in Los Angeles, but true silence never really falls in a city that never sleeps. Especially not tonight, a night that carries the tremor of hope for millions of hearts longing for what's to come. Across the world, fans stay awake, eyes fixed on their screens, hearts pounding, waiting for updates from the studio where Jimin and Jungkook are carving a new chapter. In the small studio they headed to after the main session. The atmosphere was far more intimate. Its walls weren't lined with high-end equipment like commercial studios. Instead, it had a homely feel, an old couch, a few paintings of music notes on the walls, and the scent of cinnamon from a small candle flickering in the corner. This wasn't just any studio. According to trusted sources, Jimin had used this space before while working on some of his solo demos. Tonight, it became the witness of how two souls who had weathered countless storms sat side by side, not as global idols, but as two young men who love music with everything they have. Jimin sat at the computer, headphones on, his right hand pressing play. Next to him, Jungkook leaned back in his chair, eyes half closed. Their voices blended in the room, raw, honest, and full of wounds slowly healing. "This song sounds like us," Jimin said softly. He turned to Jungkook, who simply nodded, his gaze still on the ceiling.